Welcome back to the Hockey Hotbed, brought to you as always by the Hockey Podcast Network. Thank you to everybody that has tuned in so far to Season 1, Episode 1, our series premiere of the Hockey Hotbed. And a thank you goes out as well to Chase Crawshaw for joining the show and being the very first guest ever here on the Hockey Hotbed. But we're going to finish off this episode, our inaugural episode, with our inaugural Power Rankings, our Power Rankings 1.0, if you will, for the preseason of the 2021-22 NHL season. So let's get it started.
Number 10.
Number 10, we have the Boston Bruins, a team that has not changed too much since last offseason, but the big question here is their goaltending. That's why I could put them higher on this list, I think. I could also put them lower on this list because it's a big question mark when you look at their goaltending. Tuukka Rask, currently not even under contract with the Boston Bruins, is coming off of off-season surgery. They're not sure when he's going to be available for them. We do know for a fact that he will play for the Boston Bruins whenever he recovers from that surgery. But the question is, when is that? Is it not till January? Is it not till February? Is it longer? Is it even shorter maybe? But as of right now, the Boston Bruins look like they have Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman lined up to be the goaltenders for them. And that's not an awful option. It could be a lot worse for the Boston Bruins, especially considering how good their forward core is. I mean, obviously, Bergeron, Pasternak, Marchand, that's a fantastic line any way you split it. It's going to be one of the top lines in the NHL every single time it goes out there. But being able to re-sign Taylor Hall to a favorable team contract, being able to get Nick Foligno on board, also bringing in Eric Haula, I thought was a really good move for the Boston Bruins. This is a team that in a difficult division is going to be able to make some noise if their goaltending and defense holds up. And as of right now, I have them at number 10. Again, they could go up, they could go down. We'll see.
Number 9.
Number 9, I'm moving over to Western Canada and taking the Edmonton Oilers. And I get it. It's Edmonton. We should not put stock into the Edmonton Oilers, considering what we have seen from them over the past couple of seasons. And also adding Duncan Keith in the offseason doesn't instill much confidence in me. But the reason I have them here is still because they have two of the best players on the planet right now. You have Connor McDavid, who is, in my mind, the best player in the world. I'm pretty sure what we saw him do last season just kind of leads to that fact. And then you also have Leon Draisaitl, former Hart winner, former Art Ross Trophy winner, almost exactly 2 seasons removed from that as of right now. Those two guys match with the fact that they're playing in one of the weakest divisions, if not the weakest division in hockey coming up this year. They should come in second place in that division. If they come in any other position lower than second, it's going to be a disappointment. At least I'll be disappointed in the effort by the Edmonton Oilers. So I have them at number 9. That's tentative on the fact that they're able to perform in a division that should be the weakest in the league.
Number 8.
Number 8, I'm going to keep it in Canada with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Luckily, this isn't a postseason power rankings. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be thought of because, once again, last season, the Toronto Maple Leafs absolutely embarrassed in the first round by the Montreal Canadiens, giving up a 3-1 series lead. But you look at Toronto, they still have young stars. Austin Matthews is going to be a perennial Rocket Richard winner, probably for the next 10 years. You have Nylander, you have John Tavares. The big question mark now is who's behind Jack Campbell? Can Jack Campbell actually take the reins now that Freddie Anderson is gone? I think he will be able to. I think he's shown enough to be able to. And I think Toronto has shown enough that they're going to be a really good regular season team. As I mentioned with Boston, they're going to be in a tough division this year. You have the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. You have Florida coming on strong. Boston is difficult. And you have Ottawa, who's playing a little bit better. So Toronto, they have their work cut out for them, but I still think they're going to be able to make some noise in the regular season.
Number 7.
Number 7, we're staying in that division, but going down south to the Florida Panthers, a team that is very much on the rise in everybody's eyes. They had a really good season last year. Unfortunately, they were taken out in the first round of the playoffs by the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, in what is hopefully the first of what will be a long rivalry here for Tampa and Florida. In the offseason, of course, getting Sam Bennett to re-sign there, bringing in Sam Reinhart. Let's see what he can do outside of Buffalo. I think the Florida Panthers did a really good job in supplementing the skill and the talent that they have there. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do in net. as with a lot of these teams. You look at Florida, obviously, they have Sergei Bobrovsky forever and ever, amen. They lose Chris Driedger to the Seattle in the expansion draft. But now let's see what Spencer Knight can do. This might be the first time we get to see Spencer Knight play a lot of hockey for the Florida Panthers. And I'm, for one, am very excited to see it.
Number 6.
Number 6, and this is the one that might get a lot of people talking or might get a lot of people hating me right out of the bat. But I have the Winnipeg Jets as number 6 in my power rankings. I think the Jets last postseason showed they are a very, very good team when they want to be. Obviously, the offense has always been there with Mark Scheifele, with Blake Wheeler, with Nikolai Ehlers. Those guys know how to score. The question was, can they keep the puck out of their own net? And luckily for them, they have one of the best goaltenders in hockey in Connor Hellebuyck, and that continues to this day. But they did also get some help. P.L. Dubois, in a full season there, I think will be a lot better than he was last season. He didn't really get a chance to get his feet underneath him once that trade happened from Columbus to Winnipeg. And then you also add on guys like Brendan Dillon, who they brought in the offseason, Nate Schmidt on the back end. They've bolstered their blue line, and I think that's really going to help Winnipeg in a sneaky good division in the Central. But I think the Jets are in a position where they're going to be able to make a lot of noise in the Central Division. If you look at the way that they have finished in the past 4 seasons, 3 of them, they've been knocked out by a team that made it the whole way to the Stanley Cup Finals. So Winnipeg has been there and has been losing to good quality opponents in the postseason. I think that carries over to this season.
Number 5.
Number 5, the bunch of jerks themselves, the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I'm a little unsteady here. I like Carolina. I think they have a very, very solid team, a very deep team. The question is going to be 2 things. 1, can they make up for the absence of Dougie Hamilton, who left during free agency? That is a lot of minutes to fill for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, they did bring in Ethan Bear, and I think he's going to be very good for them. I think he plays a really interesting style of hockey for the Carolina Hurricanes, and I think it's going to mesh extremely well. But the other question being goaltending. A lot of this list deals with goaltending, and if you don't know me, you know that goaltending is how I think of a lot of hockey, and that's how a lot of people think of hockey, really. What teams are good, what teams are bad, it depends on how their goaltending is. And Carolina completely overhauling their goaltending dressing room was interesting. 3 guys out, including Alex Nedeljkovic, who was on pace to finish as a Rookie of the Year candidate. He finished, I believe, in 3rd in Calder voting last year. And bringing in a guy like Freddie Anderson and bringing in a backup in Antti Ranta, I think it's interesting that we're going to see Carolina take a risk on these guys. Anderson has never done it in the playoffs, but we don't have to worry about the playoffs right now. Let's see what Carolina can do in a really difficult division in the Metropolitan Division. And with that, let's move on to number 4, because that's another Metro team.
Number 4.
Number 4, I'm done disrespecting the New York Islanders. I've disrespected the Islanders, at least the Barry Trotz Islanders, since he arrived there. I didn't think they were that good. I thought losing John Tavares was going to make them a bottom feeder, and I was completely wrong. The New York Islanders have made the playoffs every year since. They've beaten my Pittsburgh Penguins twice, including last postseason, and they've gone to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row. Now, as far as regular season performances are concerned, the New York Islanders have a tough time doing it over time. They are very inconsistent during the regular season, but they always find a way to get to the postseason, and when they do, they make a lot of noise. Now they're bringing back basically the exact same team that went 7 games with the Tampa Bay Lightning last postseason, minus the fact that Lou Lamoriello has about 6 or 7 contracts stuffed away in his bottom desk drawer. So we'll have to obviously wait to see when all of that gets unleashed. But this Islanders team is going to look like basically the same team that we saw last season. And that was a very good hockey team. So I have a hard time taking them lower than number 4 on this list.
Number 3.
Number 3, the Vegas Golden Knights in their 5th season of being an actual NHL team. A big move. Moving on from Marc-Andre Fleury, their first ever real superstar in Vegas. And they're getting everything and putting everything on Robin Lehner. We'll see how Lehner is able to respond. He's been very, very good the last couple of seasons. I expect that to continue for the Vegas Golden Knights, but we'll see how that all works out. Now, when it comes to Vegas's other offseason moves, there wasn't really much to be thought of. They were in that big 3-team trade that brought them Nolan Patrick. That could either make them look really, really good or just look like a nothing move. It's a very low risk move for the Vegas Golden Knights because Nolan Patrick, a second overall selection a couple of years ago from the Philadelphia Flyers, if he pays off, if he can stay healthy and perform to the ability that we expect him to perform with when he entered the NHL draft, Vegas is going to look like a genius here. They're still going to be the class of the Pacific Division because, as I mentioned when I was talking about Edmonton, that division is pretty weak. It's going to open the door for the Seattle Kraken to possibly make a playoff spot. Maybe Vancouver can turn it around enough to make a playoff spot, Calgary as well, but realistically, there's only one leader when it comes to looking at the Pacific Division as of right now, and that's the Vegas Golden Knights.
Number 2.
Number 2, I'm going with the Colorado Avalanche, and again, tentative on the goalie situation in Colorado. You lose Philip Grubauer, who was a Vezina finalist last year, and that is going to hurt regardless, but the fact that they were able to bring in Darcy Kuemper is encouraging. Kuemper was a very good goaltender on a very bad Arizona Coyotes team. He was basically the reason the Coyotes had any chance a couple of years ago in the bubble in Edmonton, and now he's playing for the Colorado Avalanche. We'll see what he can do on an actually really good team. I feel bad for Arizona because I feel like I'm always crapping on them, but realistically, they just didn't have the pieces. Colorado does. So let's see what Darcy Kuemper can do with the likes of Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Gabe Landeskog, who's back once again. Other than that, they haven't lost too much. Brandon Saad left in free agency for St. Louis, and they lost Jonas Donskoy to the Seattle Kraken. But other than that, if you add Alex Newhook taking a bigger role, you don't really have much steps taken back by the Colorado Avalanche. And that's why I have them at number 2.
Number 1.
Number 1, to finish it off, is the Tampa Bay Lightning. How can you not put the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning as number 1 on your preseason power rankings list? I get they lost a lot, and we talked about it with Chase. You lose that entire third line, it's not going to help, but you still have the best goaltender in hockey in Andrei Vasilevsky. You have one of the best defense cores in all of hockey. And then you have forwards like Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, and Anthony Cirelli leading the charge on your forward core. This team is still extremely good. The East is going to be kind of a death row for all teams involved this year, and Tampa is going to be leading that charge for that entire conference. So I have Tampa Bay at number 1, and there it is. The total 2021-22 Power Rankings 1.0 for the Hockey Hotbed. We have Edmonton at number X. Wow, that is actually incorrect. I apologize. Boston is at number 10, Edmonton number 9, Toronto is at number 8, Florida number 7, Winnipeg at 6. And then in the top 5, I have the bunch of jerk Carolina Hurricanes at number 5, the Islanders at number 4, Vegas at 3, Colorado at 2, and the Tampa Bay Lightning at number 1 in the inaugural power rankings. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you guys tuning in to Season 1, Episode 1, our series premiere. We hope this is just the beginning of what is a very long run here on the Hockey Hotbed. But that is going to be it for everybody. We'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good one.